tell you guys and show you guys the link between Audi Sport itself, which is the racing department of Audi since a few years, and now it has become also a brand of Audi road cars. So I would like to take you very quickly through a brief history of motorsport, history of Audi, if you don't mind. Yeah, this is us. With a little bit of pride, because for 20 years I've also been part of it, and Romolo for more than 25 years as an engineer and a manager, and Edo for the last 7 years. Yes, Audi Sport history started in the old days of the rallying World Championships. I hope some of you remember, although you look pretty young. In the early 80s, Audi entered the Rally World Championship with the vision of building a four-wheel driven cars for the first time. Audi, unlike some others, other manufacturers who do motor racing to promote themselves, mainly Audi has done motor racing since they want to develop technology and learn about technology and eventually transfer this technology on the road cars. This has been the main reason why Audi has been doing motor racing, besides of course the marketing side. The first thing, or smart thing they did with the vision of Dr. Piech, who became then being #1 of the whole Volkswagen group, was to run with a four-wheel driven car, which before then four-wheel driven was used for off-road vehicles, and he thought if it improves traction in the off-road vehicles, it must be possible to use it in a rally car. Since then, two things happened. Quattro became Audi trademark and Audi mission and Audi philosophy, and many other people copied it. Audi won 2 World Championships of drivers and 2 World Championships of mates. Until then, they moved on. They went racing in America for a few years with the IMSA GTO car, a really, really cool race car. Then, again with the Quattro, improving all the time their knowledge about the system. Then went back to Europe with both DTM, which is the German Touring Car Championship. I apologize if I tell you things that you already know, but I don't know how much is your knowledge about motor racing. But DTM is the Touring Car Championship historically in Europe, and is run in Germany. With DTM and touring cars, with the Quattro. I'm now talking about the early 90s, and this is when I got into the picture in Audi Sport. After that, they ran until 1997, until the moment when basically the federation decided to ban four-wheel driven cars in motor racing. Before, we were carrying more weight as compensation because of the advantage that we had. But after while many manufacturers were complaining, at the end the federation decided to ban Quattro from motorsport, because they said it's a performance tool. Some people think Quattro is only good for to improve traction in the snow or in a little grip condition. In fact, Quattro is really a performance tool that makes you go faster, makes the tire wear smaller, sorry, and in fact it enabled us to win a lot of races despite the fact that we had to carry more weight. So 1997 was a bad year for us, because Audi thought, what are we doing here if we can't use and promote what we used with our road cars, because already back then a lot of the road cars were Quattro. So personally I was a little bit afraid that they would stop motor racing altogether, but fortunately they thought let us go and try to win the oldest and most prestigious race in the motorsport world, which is Le Mans 24 Hours. And so in 2 years, Audi developed a Le Mans car, and in '99 was the first year when we competed. We finished third in '99, and from 2000 we started a winning streak, which in 16 years Audi won 13 times this race. I personally did it 5 times, which I'm very, very happy about. And during this year, a lot of innovations and technology innovation came up. I try to be very brief, although there's a lot to say, which with the last thing, which is the hybrid car in the last 4 years. I have a very short movie for you, which covers for more than 40 years of, around 40 years of motorsport, very, very short. That includes the R8 customer racing, the baby and Roma, and DTM and Rally. This is the intervideo, the full color of the car. That's the Le Mans R8. Rally days. First diesel Le Mans car, 2006. The Audi Sport TPM. The spin, and it was to celebrate the victory. And this last image, I think it represents a little bit the spirit that Audi Sport has had throughout its history. And honestly, as a racing driver, I really feel proud that Audi Sport's logo now, the name that we have been running for many years, now represents the most, the fastest cars and the most prestigious cars of production. On top of it is the R8, of course, and then all the RS models. Now they belong to the Audi Sport. Very, very quickly, I would like to talk a little bit about the place where I spent the most wonderful days of my life. It's the Le Mans racetrack. It's one of the oldest races, and I don't know how much you know about, but in this racetrack, many manufacturers really wrote their own history. Many tried to succeed and never did. When you think about Le Mans, beginning of the century, you think of the Bentley boys, later on about the Ferrari wings, later on about Porsche, and in the last 15 or 17 years, everybody thinks about Audi. The reason why Le Mans is so special is because, first of all, it's a very big racetrack, 16.5 kilometers. It is not a real racetrack because this is actually a road for 51 weeks per year, and only for 1 week it's closed and becomes this start and finish. So this is the normal start and finish every day, and this is actually the Le Mans straight. There's a village here, there's a village here, and this is a normal road. 6 kilometers, so very long straights, and very, very high speeds during the history of this race were recorded there. The race is a 24-hour race, so the winners, they cover more than 5,000 kilometers. And this is the reason why for many manufacturers it was more important to win this race than to win shorter races, because at an average speed of 225 in the race, because per lap is about 240, you don't only prove to be able to build very fast cars, but also very durable cars. The distance that the winners cover is about the same distance as all the Formula 1 races in one season together, and the car never really switched off. So it's a very technological big challenge. If you have the chance, please go, because it's a wonderful venue. There are more than 250,000 spectators. Normally when you go to a race, you go on Sunday morning, watch the race, and Sunday evening you go home. In Le Mans, it's basically 1 week. Nobody's really going for one day. People show up on Tuesday, Wednesday, camp, share the passion, share the happening, share the fatigue that cars, drivers, mechanics, engineers, officials have. Also the public at the end of the race. Everybody is finished, but everybody is really, really happy. 5 times in each lap you exceed 300 kilometers per hour. So it's a really high-speed circuit, and it's the best place to really develop race cars. This is really very briefly what Audi has done in the last, in the last years. This is the last year's Le Mans team. 3 cars, 3 drivers each, about 120 personnel, and this photo is, let's say, the pride of Audi Sport, because these are all Audis that won the race from 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, first diesel 2006, 2007, 2009, and these are all the hybrids. And it's sorry, I smile and I feel a little bit proud, but it's quite a nice fairy tale. This is about it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to this short introduction, and I would like to invite you to our living room to go a little bit further, and also